be fitting as we are finishing up 2024 to start thinking about 2025 if you haven't already. There is the old saying where the actions that you do today get you paid in 90 days. So quite fitting. That would already take us to Q2 pretty much. So we wanted to go over again, like it's important to have your big why. Take a moment to look big picture, look into your business, and it's different for everyone of what you want to do, what you want to achieve. And so we thought it would be fitting to kind of go through sort of a session here on helping you get some clarity, helping you figure out your commitments. And for those of you who like math and numbers, how to calculate those so you can really drill it down specifically.
Yes. Amazing. So can everyone see the screen there? I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So we're talking about taking your business to new heights, as Dee said, in 2025. Let me just go to the next slide here. So as Dee kind of touched on there, before you get started, you have to, and the most important thing, as we always talk about, is identifying your why. So again, what is your why? A why is that driving force behind your business goals. It's what keeps you motivated during those tough times, because we've all experienced there's highs and there's lows, and especially in real estate. So this is what keeps you motivated during those tough times and inspires you to push further. So examples are providing for your family, achieving financial freedom, impacting your community positively. Does anyone have a why that maybe they want to share? Like, what's your why? Why are you in this business? Why are you in real estate? Anyone care to share?
Why? Who's firm on their why?
Yeah.
Your financial freedom point there, Steph. That's like a big one for me. And then, my parents and setting up for the future. So that kind of keeps me going.
Right. And so along the same lines for me, like setting up my kids for success in the future, investing, having investment properties, at least one each for each of them is really important. And one of my big whys. I see Caroline's hand up.
Yeah, part of my big why is helping my mom pay off her mortgage. I'd love to give back to her for that. And then also just helping people find their dream home. I find that very satisfying.
Yes, amazing. Thank you for sharing, Caroline. Anyone else before we move on here? I don't see any other hands. I don't know if you ladies can.
I think I'll just hop in there to help sometimes with your why, depending on your personality type. And we're actually, the team is running this next week, and others can join too, is a vision board. So I still have my vision board in my office that I did like 5 years ago. And I think for me, it helps visualize the things that I want. Like here it is, of just relaxed purpose, a nice home, a dollar figure. Like for me, having this in my office just helps me reinforce and remember my why, which again is financial freedom 100%.
So good.
Yes. Amazing.
And we have one in the chat too. Taha was saying being able to provide for my family while also being able to help people create wealth.
Amazing. Yes, so true. So lots of giving and setting people up for future wealth and success. So once you have that why, obviously that's what's rooting our goals and our commitments. So there's a little bit of a difference. I don't know if you guys know, between goals and commitments. So a goal is, that desired result that you aim to achieve. So for example, close 20 deals next year. Whereas a commitment is the promise that you're making yourself to take the necessary actions to achieve that goal. So goals are awesome. We should all have them, but commitments are what drive those results. So again, we got a little example here. Our goal is wanting to, say, run a marathon, but the commitment is training 5 days a week to prepare. So think about that in terms of when we're setting our real estate goals and our commitments, okay? Another thing that's really important that we talk a lot about is what, motivates you, because it's one thing to set those goals and commitments, but then we have to understand each of us is different, and we have to understand what motivates us. Is it rewards or is it consequences? So we call it like the carrot versus the stick. So carrot, you know, you're rewarding yourself for achieving milestones. So you're going on vacation, or you're getting a new phone, or going out to dinner. Whereas a stick is like a consequence. It's almost like a punishment for falling short. So here the example was like donating to a cause you dislike, or extra cold calls. Court will love that, punishing yourself by making extra cold calls. I don't know. So does anyone want to share? Like, are you more motivated by the carrot or the stick? For me personally, I'll go first. I'm definitely more of a carrot. I like to reward myself with spa days and other types of things like that. What about you guys?
And if anyone wants, I was going to say, throw in the chat too. Carrot and stick in our chat.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Carrot, stick. See, everyone's different. Everyone's got their own motivation. It's amazing.
Right? Yes, amazing. So, all right, lots of carrots, but lots of some sticks too. Perfect. So think about that. Reflect, you know, again, if you're not sure if you're a carrot or a stick, take some time to think about what you are, and then actually, you know, think about what you would reward yourself with, or what you would essentially punish yourself with. Moving
Combo
on.
of both, right? And
Mhm,
covering all
sure.
the things. A reward if you hit your quarterly activities, and then, you know, a stick if you don't.
Yeah, I love it. So once we have, you know, we have to take those commitments and turn them, of course, into actions, because we're never going to get anywhere unless we are doing things. So to meet your commitments, we need to break them down into manageable tasks. So
Yeah.
for example, as I said, we use the example of closing 20 deals in 2025. So we got to break it down. Court will love this section. We got to take it back into the number of activities that we need to do in order to meet that commitment. So weekly, you know, X number of calls, X number of door knocks, X number of open houses, follow-ups, appointments. So really, you start big picture with your annual goal. Then you're going to divide it into quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily activities. And I'm going to let Court get into some of those numbers.
And so that is the big, where to start. And that is the big thing, right? And often we just set these goals and, you know, then it's, we'll double it, right? And there's all those great inspirational, motivational things. And we set these huge targets for ourselves. And there was always that saying, like, sometimes we overestimate what we can do in a year, but underestimate how much we can do in like 5 years or 10 years. And so there is momentum and stuff. But the big one is, like, instead of setting a big lofty goal and then not really having a plan on how to actually implement it, you're just really setting yourself up for failure often, right or wrong. And that's not to take away from like the manifesting and believing and all of that. There's just also this like boring yet factual side of it. So anyways, what we've done is added all the results essentially over the last 8 years for the team to come up with these numbers. So not exactly just shooting from the hip. We've accounted for, you know, years where numbers were a lot easier that we've gone through. Those were lots of fun. And then times where it's been a lot harder to create these numbers. And Steph was saying there a minute ago too about breaking it down to weekly and monthly. And then there's a caveat to it too, how you really want to make sure that you're front loading your year and not dividing it equally amongst 12 months. So as we know, you know, February, March or April as well, a lot easier to push through deals than say December and stuff. So you want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success and really front loading your year. So 60 or 70% of your business is getting done in that first 5 or 6 months, and then leaving the rest. Okay, so these numbers here are average, and it is based over the long term. So hitting 200 doors, it doesn't necessarily mean on the 199th and then you go to the next house, you'll get it. This averages out though over, again, 8 years of activity. So hitting 200 doors, making 1,000 phone calls, which is a lot. And also I'm always pushing about creating like a lifestyle that allows you to do things while you're doing your dialing. Making 100 sphere calls, So this is a big one. You could have a smaller database of your center of influence. So maybe it isn't 100, maybe it's 30, but you're calling them over 3 times, which is, you know, a quarterly touch or however you want to do it, and asking them if they're making a move or if they have those friends or family, really tapping into it. You should, 1 in every 10 people in your database should turn into a deal in the year when you're properly nurturing your center of influence. And then 5 open houses. So what's awesome about either being, if you have a team or you're on a team or with a brokerage, so maybe you don't have a listing, is reaching out to people to see if they have a new listing in an area that you're interested in. Make sure you're calling them and saying, hey, can I host an open house for you this weekend? They would love it, especially busy agents. Or again, if you're on a team, if you're with a brokerage and you can reach out to anybody at your brokerage and ask them if there's a house again in your area or area you're interested in. And then not just putting up a sign and showing up at the open house, actually circle prospecting around it, hitting some doors while you're there, and following up with the people that do come in. So properly worked, every 5 open houses will lead to a deal. And then there's the social media, which I'll apologize because I don't know the stats on how this is just from several industry experts, I guess you'd say, like Sean Getty, Jen, things like that. So if you're consistently posting every single day and doing, you know, calls of action to get people to interact with you, after 6 months you'll be able to count on that to consistently lead to lead generation for you. So that's also an important aspect. It can't just be your only one though. So that should be in addition to the more measurable activities above the door knocks, phone calls, and sphere. So this fun little calculator,
Yes.
we have been working on. So this is really cool, and we can put the link in here for everyone to go to. Let me just.
Do you see the new slide there with the calculator? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are you
awesome.
able to copy and paste that into the chat group so everyone can go and use this?
Yeah.
So you'll see on the left-hand side. So here's where you can put in your goal for the year. The way it is right now is $100,000. And depending on what market, you can address what your average house price is. If it's 800,000, $1 million, you can adjust this as you go along. Then depending on what market, what's your average commission rate for your side of the deal? It's 2.5 is what we love. Maybe it's 2.25, 2%, depending where you are. I've had weird ones. Is anyone from Saskatchewan? I was talking with a team from Saskatchewan yesterday, and it's like they get paid X percentage on the first 100,000, and then a different percentage for the next 100,000. And then I'm like, why is that happening? Like, so I haven't quite figured out this tiered system. And then if you're on a team, there's, you know, the great thing about being on a team is the access to all these leads, and then there's others. So there's a split to incorporate. So you can add that in to help you really with setting your goals. And then that'll take you over here to your results. So in this scenario, you would make $8,000 a deal, accounting for, you know, the averages of what Steph has put in here. And that means you'd have to do 13 deals to hit your goal for the year. Now you can check what sort of prospecting efforts. So maybe you love door knocking, you love phone calls, you don't want to use your sphere, or you do. You can choose the variety. I went to a trainer when I first started, and he was big into like 3 pillars. So you should have 3 ways of finding business, and one should always be your center of influence. I'm obviously not diversified in any capacity, and I only make phone calls. So you got to figure out what you're doing. It's good to have. So you can choose which ones you would realistically be willing to do, and then it's going to calculate. So you can see here for Steph, she's like, I'm going to work my sphere. I'm going to make phone calls, and I'm going to go and do open houses. So I don't have to hit any doors. I'll have to make 4,334 phone calls. I'll have to make 434 sphere calls, and I'd have to host 22 open houses for the year. So, and that's evenly divided, is not weighted. So it'd be 33% for each of them. And then now you can take this information and break it down, again, front load your year and be like, okay, so over the 12 months, how am I going to weighed out my weeks. So it just kind of takes that question out of it for you. How much activity do I actually need to do to hit? And it just helps you set more realistic goals as well as action plans for you.
Amazing.
Does anyone have any questions on that? If you're maybe not as excited or passionate about a calculator as I am.
We'll go back to the calculator meme page while people are processing and asking questions.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's amazing. I love that. It's fun to kind of play around, and really gives you a great idea of the amount of activity that you realistically need to do in order to meet that commitment, and right? So fun. So I did post the link for that calculator in the group chat, so you guys all have access to it now and can play around. But I can't see the chat box from where I am, but no questions, I don't think, at this point. Nope. Okay. Awesome. Moving along. All right. Oops, sorry, got too many things open. There we go. All right. So, I mean, we've gone through, of course, like the bigger picture, the why, setting your goals, commitments, obviously knowing your numbers. And I think another really important piece to reaching those goals is staying accountable, because accountability ultimately is the key to consistency and staying on track. So it's very important to be doing self-accountability. So setting those daily, weekly check-ins with yourself, using tools like journals, planners, apps to make sure that, again, you are staying on track. And then not everybody, does super well with self-accountability. So we always encourage you to have a partner, right? That partner accountability allows you to work with a colleague, a coach, or like an accountability buddy or group to share goals and hold each other to each other's commitments, right? That way you can, whether it be schedule regular reviews to adjust strategies and celebrate progress. I know us on the team, we've done this a lot in the past, having like various accountability, whether it be one-on-one or partnering up with another agent on the team, just to make sure that we're all, as I said, staying on track and staying committed to those goals that we want to hit and reach, right? Does anyone here, like, I know even in other aspects of life, like Courtney keeps me accountable when it comes to like fitness goals. She makes my butt get up early in the morning and work out, right? So without her, I probably wouldn't do that. So it's like that in business too. You got to keep each other accountable to reach those goals. Okay.
Does anyone do any self-accountability? I know some are way more strict with yourselves than others in a good way. So just curious, like for me, definitely working with others to hold myself accountable is more impactful for myself. But just curious, you could throw it in the chat if there's anyone that is actually good at self-accountability, has that control. Let's just let that chat light up.
I think it makes me a bad person, but that's what keeps me motivated. It's just not, what's that, the book about it, like never putting up a zero. Just like, even if I can't do a 45-minute workout, like if I do a 5-1, I'll just go and do that. So it's like, I just don't want to like not have done something, right? So that's, and I think about it too for prospecting or, dialing or any of those types of things, is like, sometimes we have like, the smallest gesture is better than the grandest intention, and like not just thinking you have to always do something so big. And sometimes, and that's like a great way to keep yourself accountable, because it's like once you get way off track or don't do anything, it's so much harder to get back. So even just like doing a tiny bit of something is such a great way. So I find that for me it's easier, even if I'm like I got 2 minutes, even if I just do like a 2-minute core thing or something, but it's like, okay, well, at least I've done it. So I've kept the momentum going or for work as well. That helps me.
Yeah, absolutely. Or even like when you're driving, which most of us hopefully are between appointments. I love Audible, and I load my Audible with real estate or motivational or something. It just like gets me in the zone. And then sometimes I'll have like my Spotify, like my good music playlist, just to get you pumped up. So it's like keeping yourself pumped between those appointments, and you just kind of show up differently.
Right. And the audiobook, that's a great way to like
Yeah.
be doing self-improvements, like
Yeah.
personal development without, again, having to like action like 30 minutes to go sit down and read a book, which is often, you know, hard for us. Everyone's really busy. So just doing, again, like those little things to just tiny little steps moving in the right direction.
Yeah, podcast, books, webinars, team meetings. Yeah, like all of those things.
Exactly.
Like, hey, you want to go get some work done together. You want to go like do a power hour where you just like bang out some follow-up, like that kind of stuff. That's my thing for sure. I love that.
I was gonna say, I think sometimes, especially at this time of year when it's cold out, nobody wants to go outside. Your couch looks really comfy. I'll sit down to do some work. I know I call on fellow agents, like, let's meet at the office, and then we'll have like a power hour and we get stuff done. Gets you out of the house and getting your to-do list done, right?
Exactly. So Chuck's always made weekly goals that you're scared of, and you threaten to punish yourself if you don't do that thing, and karma will get its way if you don't do it. Oh yeah, for sure. You're more of a stick kind of guy then. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. I think we've just got one little wrap up final here again. So we're all launching into the new year with clarity and purpose here. And so as I already kind of went over, big picture, starting with the why, breaking it down to those goals, and then more importantly, those commitments and how you're going to meet those goals, and tracking your activity and your numbers, and staying accountable to yourself and your accountability partners. And with all of that together, we're going to have an amazing 2025.
Amazing. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Have yourself an amazing and fulfilling and motivating day.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
Wait,
bye.
Thanks, guys. Courtney stacked the cheese and beer out of his hands.
Yes.
Okay, done. Cheese and beer. It is cheese season. We're approaching cheese season. That's for sure.
It is cheese season, yeah.
There's
good protein. Good protein in cheese.
365 days a year, man. What are you talking about? Cheese.
Yeah.
All year long.
What's that? It's an excuse for cheese. For me, it's the 3 T's of holidays. It's turtles, Toblerone, and toffee. So
stop. The 3 T's.
The 3 T's of the holiday season. So you can watch for me. Okay. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Good day, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.